Picture it. It's Sunday night in the mid-90s. You've got a stack of homework that you haven't done, you just finished dinner, and you are dreading the school day ahead of you. Luckily, there's one last remnant of the weekend to hold you over through the school week. That's right, The Simpsons is on. Get your Sunny D, hit record on the VCR, and get ready to see what Bart Simpson is up to this week. It's hard to think that The Simpsons have been entertaining kids and adults alike for nearly 30 years. Mostly because that would mean that I've been watching them for 30 years and I am an adult and stuff now. Gross. The show is one of the most legendary series to ever grace the small screen. It's had big moments, from every screw-up that Bart Simpson made to every time Homer said, "Dope!" What's interesting when looking back on the show, however, is that there are plenty of brilliant moments that many fans have just missed. Creator Matt Groening and his talented team of writers have assembled some of the most brilliant gags and running jokes in television history. But you may not have caught them all on the first, second, or even 20th time around. Here are 10 hidden Simpsons Easter eggs that everybody missed. Number 1. Pretty much everything in Treehouse of Horrors. The Treehouse of Horrors is the annual Halloween special. It's made up of several non-canonical segments that poke fun at the horror genre. Basically, it's a yearly Easter egg factory of a television episode. The famous yearly special has referenced properties like The Exorcist, The Shining, and Poltergeist for comic effect. The property that gets referenced the most throughout the specials is the famous TV show The Twilight Zone. This is pretty much because Treehouse of Horrors is a yearly Simpsons Twilight Zone. We'll see if this year's Jordan Peele reboot is considered worthy of getting a Simpsons parody. You better bring your A game, Adam Scott. Number 2. A113. The Simpsons and Pixar are two of the biggest names in the history of American animation. One pioneered the adult animated sitcom, while the other pioneered the computer animated film. While both are titans and have continued producing content for decades, they don't really have a whole lot in common. That is, except for one recurring Easter egg. The term A113 may not mean much to the common person, but animators will tell you that it's the most famous animated Easter egg ever. A113 comes from the room number of the animation workshop at the California Institute of Arts. This number is famously depicted in every single Pixar film. Seriously, once you know about it, you just can't stop saying it. What many people don't know is that it is also frequently used in The Simpsons. Moments like Bart's mugshot, Krusty's inmate number, and a cop car's license plate. The code is also located in things like Family Guy, American Dad, The Avengers, Brave Little Toaster, and more. I mean, it's almost a running joke for animators at this point. Of course, others will tell you that it's all an Illuminati conspiracy theory. Seriously though, it's not. It's very important to the government agent that coincidentally decided to come over while I was recording this that I tell you unequivocally that there is no correlation between A113 and the Illuminati, which definitely doesn't exist. Also, no one's listening to you through your cell phones, so stop being paranoid, Leonard McDonald from Austin, Texas. Jeez, you guys and your conspiracy theories. Number 3. Maggie shot Mr. Burns. It's weird to think this in 2019, during the golden age of television, but once upon a time, a soap opera called Dallas was a huge deal. Seriously, who would watch a high-concept drama about a bunch of powerful families battling it out for power? Sounds awful. A few decades ago, the biggest pop culture mystery out there wasn't who was going to end up on the Iron Throne of Westeros, but who shot the oil tycoon JR in the 3rd season finale. It was Kristen, if you really wanted to know. One of the most intricate Easter eggs in the history of The Simpsons was their recreation of this bit. Not only did they recapture the summer speculation fever over who shot JR, but they actually managed to top it. In the 6th season finale of the series titled Who Shot Mr. Burns, Springfield's resident evil rich guy was shot by a mysterious figure. It's then revealed that the shooter was actually the baby, Maggie Simpson. This might seem like nothing more than a rather silly gag at Dallas's expense, but it's one of the show's most extensive plot points. Upon rewatching the episode, you can see the show take great pains to show how each of the suspects who weren't Maggie couldn't have possibly done it, down to the time of the shooting occurring during Smithers' favorite show, and a giant no literally pointing at Homer's head. The most blatant hint comes when Mr. Burns asks the crowd who has the guts to stand up to him, and everybody but Maggie looks away. Never take candy from babies, kiddos. They pack heat. Number 4. The Historical Photos Gag. There are lots of recurring jokes on The Simpsons. Some are fairly obvious, like Bart Simpson's constantly changing chalkboard writings or the famous couch gag. Others are a lot more subtle. Probably the most subtle of these is their recurring historical photo gag. The show frequently recreates famous photos from the show's perspective. Moments like Lyndon Johnson being sworn in as president are replaced by characters like Lisa Simpson. Other famous moments like Woodstock and Nixon meeting Elvis are recaptured in the series as well. The most poignant, though, is the scene that parodies the famous crying Frenchman photograph. Here, a man is pictured in tears as his country is overtaken by Nazis. In The Simpsons, Milhouse is seen crying in a similar fashion when the backwards R in Toys R Us is turned around correctly. I mean, hey, at least you still have a Toys R Us, Milhouse. Enjoy it while you can. These are the sorts of jokes that, once you realize they're doing it, you want to go back and rewatch the entire series. I mean, who doesn't have a spare 30 years to rewatch an old TV show, right? Number 5. Homer discovers the God particle. The Simpsons has a lot of recurring gags that prove it's more intelligent than your average adult cartoon. There's one incredible gag that proves the series is actually smarter than your average theoretical physicist. In a 1998 episode of the series, Homer Simpson is seen writing out an equation on a chalkboard. One would think that the equation would just be a series of random numbers. Not so much, actually. Funnily enough, this equation comes really close to predicting the mass of the Higgs boson particle 14 years before it was actually discovered. I'm not going to take the time to explain why the equation is so close. I could, because I definitely know what the Higgs boson is and why it's the gaudiest of particles, but there just isn't enough time for me to go through the math, which I definitely know. It's one of those eerie Simpsons moments that accidentally predicts the future. Let's just hope that Schwarzenegger doesn't actually become president. Schwarzenegger 2020. Vote for me if you want to live. Number 6. The universe is a donut. Stephen Hawking may be one of the most famous scientific minds in human history, but he also loves a good cameo. He's appeared in shows like Star Trek: The Next Generation, The Big Bang Theory, and Futurama. He's like the Stan Lee of vaguely scientific TV shows. Rest in peace, Stan. One of his most iconic cameos came in his episode of The Simpsons. He shares a conversation with Homer about how much he loves Homer's theory that the universe is a donut. This is, of course, nothing more than a joke about how much Homer is obsessed with donuts, right? Well, actually, the donut theory, or the three torus model of the universe, theorizes that the universe itself is actually shaped in a somewhat donut-esque fashion. That's right, not only did Homer accidentally come up with the God particle, but he may have also predicted the shape of the universe as well. So it actually was a smart choice for me to watch The Simpsons instead of doing my homework. High five 10-year-old me. Number 7. I prefer the term homage. There's just something about high-concept television comedies that makes them want to parody movies in extremely intricate ways. Freeze almost any frame of Rick and Morty and you're bound to see at least 3 sci-fi references somewhere in the background. Dan Harmon's other show, Community, had a character named Abed who was completely devoted to these movie references, although he preferred the term homage. The Simpsons may actually be the series that takes this concept to its pinnacle. The show has taken great pains over the years to recreate many of film's most famous moments. From a group of babies parodying Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds to Mr. Burns posing like he's in Citizen Kane, The Simpsons will take any chance it can get to make a scene into a movie reference. It's kind of like if Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, and Mel Brooks all decided to make a cartoon together. Which, now that I think about it, would probably be about as good as The Simpsons. Does anyone have the number for Hollywood? Number 8. Matt Groening cameos. Like Kevin Smith, Mel Brooks, and Quentin Tarantino, Simpsons creator Matt Groening loves to make cameos in his various creations. The Simpsons and Futurama both have several cameos from the famous writer throughout. In one episode, he actually has fans come up to him trying to get his autograph. The show takes a bit of a passive-aggressive meta turn when the animated Groening then offers to give the fans personalized pictures and even locks of his hair. The Groening cameos may be pretty constant throughout both series, but at least they're better than the M. Night Shyamalan ones. Oh please, just stop making movies already. Number 9. Futurama references. Futurama and The Simpsons actually stand toe-to-toe as far as animated TV legends are concerned. Sure, Futurama didn't last nearly as long as The Simpsons did, but it had one truly amazing series finale that dropped before Futurama had arguably become a parody of itself. Both series reference each other dozens of times, but The Simpsons actually referenced Futurama before it actually existed. The show was obviously trying to hype the planned new series before it even began, but the level to which they reference the fledgling concept is incredibly impressive. At one point, Uter is shown wearing a Futurama t-shirt, characters that are very similar to Bender and Zoidberg appear in a shop window, and a video game cover for Bartman meets Radioactive Man. The most obvious one, though, is in a 1993 episode where they have a character flat out say, "I'm gonna do what I've always dreamed of. I'm gonna write that sitcom about the sassy robot." That's pretty much the Babe Ruth calling his home run of the animation world right there. Number 10. McBain The Movie. There's one Simpsons Easter egg that's so ridiculously awesome that it's almost enough of a reason to call the series legendary on its own. Throughout the series, there are several clips to a movie called McBain. If you're just a casual viewer of the series, it's a funny recurring gag that pokes fun of action movies starring Bruce Willis, Mel Gibson, or Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you're one of those crazy Simpsons fans though, you know that it's one of the greatest running jokes of all time. You see, if you string together all of the McBain clips, it actually makes a complete, cohesive narrative. Essentially, you can watch all of the best parts of McBain through watching The Simpsons. If only someone on YouTube could make a full McBain film that compiled all those clips. Oh wait, there are actually several. Who knew there were so many people out there who would make YouTube videos about a nearly 30-year-old TV show? What kind of person would even do that? I mean, probably a really handsome genius with incredible voice acting skills. Can I be in The Simpsons now, Matt Groening? Why don't you just hit me up in the comments with your offer? Anything over 2 million an episode is just fine with me. Well, there you have it. All of the strangest and silliest Easter eggs in America's favorite animated sitcom. That's right, cry your eyes out, Stewie Griffin. Were there any good ones that we missed? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.